Welcome back to the channel for another video. Today we're sat here talking about quite an important topic regarding Wrexham Football Club. We're going to be talking about a decision that obviously I've talked about previously on the channel. It could be a really big decision made for the football club of Wrexham and Welsh football. However, there could be some big consequences to it. So today we're back in this seat talking about Wrexham Football Club. Today it's Friday. Yes, yesterday we had a very bad defeat to Shrewsbury Town. I'm not going to talk on that much. It was a very bad performance in general, and I thought up front there was nothing there, and I think that is a cry out for Phil Parkinson to go out and sign a striker. And our away form is just completely different. So home form, Wrexham Football Club seems to be a completely different team away from home, and there's no time to dwell on that. We're moving on to a big game on Thursday against Birmingham City, but that's not the topic of today's video. Today we are going to be talking about the possibility of Wrexham Football Club playing in a European competition. So before we get going in today's video, if you are looking for all the best Wrexham AFC content on YouTube, this is the place to be. Make sure to get down there and click the red subscribe button. We're on the road to 26,000 subscribers. Of course, if you look down there and you haven't clicked the subscribe button, if you could do so, that would be massively appreciated. And let's see if we can hit 350 likes on today's video. And without further ado, let's get talking about this interesting topic. So you might remember a few months ago on the channel I did a video about the possibility of Wrexham Football Club playing in the UEFA Europa Conference League through winning the Welsh Cup. There are rumours that Wrexham and 3 other Welsh teams in the Football League were going to compete in this new Welsh League Cup, obviously with the winners getting a place in the early rounds of the Europa Conference League qualifying. And a few months on, it looks as if the green light is set to go ahead for Wrexham Football Club and the 3 other Welsh EFL teams to have this big opportunity. So how would it happen? How would Wrexham Football Club, Newport, Swansea and Cardiff all have the possibility of qualifying for the Conference League? Like I said, those 4 EFL teams are all set to compete in the Welsh League Cup. I think it was formerly known as the Nathaniel MG Cup, but all those 4 teams are set to compete alongside the 12 other clubs that compete in the Welsh Premier League. Like I said, with the winners receiving an early spot in the UEFA Europa Conference League qualifying rounds. It's unconfirmed yet what round that'll be, but if we're going off our knowledge and if we're going off previous cup competitions around the world, it's likely to be the second round qualifying. I think an important point to talk about on this topic is all 4 clubs would sacrifice the possibility of qualifying for the Europa League and the Champions League if this is to get the green light and go ahead for this proposal. Wrexham, obviously we're talking about Wrexham in this video, would sacrifice in the future possibly qualifying for the Champions League and the Europa League. I think as well, anyone thinking this is sort of a gimmick and it's another, EFL trophy, the clubs would have to be required to field a strong team to meet the criteria. So it would be good, it would be very good, and if we could see, a Wrexham Cardiff final to possibly qualify for a European competition, you'd get a bumper crowd. It would be great. It would be great for Welsh football, it would be great for the clubs, and of course it'd be great for the 4 teams. Cardiff, Swansea, they've been in the European competitions. Wrexham have been ever present in Europe across the 70s and the 80s, so it would just be good to have these European days back, and I'm sure I can speak for this on behalf of all 4 EFL clubs possibly competing. Now we're going to be talking about why this is happening. Why have the FAW wanted these 4 EFL teams to come into the Welsh League Cup and possibly steal the opportunity from another Welsh club who play in the Welsh Premier League to qualify for a European competition? There are 2 main reasons for this decision: to improve the quality of Welsh football through the prize money gained, and of course to boost Wales's UEFA ranking through the more regular involvement in European football. This would almost guarantee Wales a team in the Europa Conference League. I can imagine there are going to be times where teams qualify for the league phase, every single year. There'll be teams, whoever wins this might get knocked out in the last qualifying round, but it will boost Wales's rankings in the coefficient rankings. So if we do a bit of research on this, Wales are currently 49th in the rankings. So, adding the likes of Wrexham, Cardiff and Swansea into the mix, who, like I said, will definitely progress further into the rounds, and there'll be times, like I said, where we will qualify for the league phase. This will take Wales from 49th so high up the list into the 30s, I can imagine. So hopefully it will bring more eyeballs on Welsh football, and hopefully it can just grow, because there is so much potential for Welsh football. Adding sort of these big teams into this League Cup who we can imagine will win it most times, and we can imagine as well will go far in the UEFA Conference League. it will just be so good, like I said, for the eyeballs on Welsh football and for the rankings. And if we're looking at the other viewpoint from the other Welsh clubs, they'll see this as a big bonus, no doubt. They'll still be able to qualify for Europa League, Conference League and Champions League through the league, and there'll be a reported £3 million distributed to improve grassroots football in Wales. So it's a win-win situation for the league clubs, and it's a win-win situation for Welsh football on the whole. You're probably thinking this is so greedy from the 4 EFL clubs coming into this competition, stealing that spot, but all 4 clubs have agreed any prize funding made will go straight back into improving grassroots football and football in Wales. So you can't call these clubs selfish in this situation. Yes, they're possibly taking 1 spot away from a Welsh club, but they're bringing millions of pounds into Welsh football to improve it. Welsh football has been in dying need of funding and improving funding for, pitches, grassroots football, like I said, lower league level academies, to take it to that next step, to take it, to compete with other countries across the world. And I think this could be a huge stepping stone towards that. Like I said, Welsh football has needed that investment to sort of unearth the qualities that Welsh football currently does have, and I can't see why other Welsh Premier League teams would say no to this proposal. They're gaining from it, and of course grassroots football is massively gaining on it in Wales on the whole. I think it's a great opportunity for this to be taken to the next step. So back talking about Wrexham Football Club. Pros for Wrexham. Why is this a good idea for Wrexham to compete in the Welsh League Cup and possibly get that spot in the UEFA Europa Conference League? The first one, extra revenue. It's no hiding the fact Wrexham would gain from revenue from this. I do believe Wrexham would take some of the revenue made from qualifying in the Conference League rounds and of course getting into the league phase. So if we are able to qualify for the league phase, Wrexham Football Club would receive £2.6 million, and in the league phase, for every win we would receive £336,000. If we qualified from the group, we'd go on to make a minimum of £200,000, and after that the prize funding just continues to increase. So there is quite a bit of money involved, especially for a League One team like Wrexham. And you think if Newport County ever do miracles and get into that league phase, it'll be good for them. And there are a lot of small clubs that have that opportunity to qualify for the Conference League, and there are a lot of clubs in these scenarios that have gained so much funding, which has helped the club grow. So I think this would be a really good idea for Wrexham Football Club. And even if Wrexham were to go out in the first round qualifying of the Conference League over the 2-legged fixture, we'd still bank £445,000, which I think in this situation would go straight back into Welsh football and improving Welsh football. So it's nearly £500,000, which could go a long way. And away from direct money given by UEFA to Wrexham, possibly for winning these games and qualifying, you think of TV money as well. We're playing on BT Sport week in, week out. There's no doubt they'd be jumping to the opportunity to show Wrexham on BT for every single game. Potential new sponsors as well coming into the club. Wrexham being on that global stage now, you think possibly new sponsors would want to come in. But I think money isn't the sole reason for this at all. I strongly do believe Wrexham aren't in this for the money. And the second reason is, of course, we're competing on the big stage. There's no hiding the fact, and we can say it enough, Wrexham Football Club would be competing in a European competition for a League One club. It wouldn't get any bigger and better for this for Wrexham Football Club in terms of exposure as well. And Wrexham have had some really historical moments in European competitions before. You think back to Porto in '84, you think the double-legged fixtures against Roma, you've got Anderlecht, Real Zaragoza. Wrexham is rich in history when it comes to playing in European competitions, and like I said, some of the most historical moments in the club's history have come playing in Europe. And I think this could be such a good opportunity to recreate memories, get Wrexham that global exposure, of course, playing in a European competition against some massive giants. This is a big opportunity for us. And I think as well, you've just got to picture it now. If this is projected to start at the start of next season, in the 25-26 season, imagine European nights back at the racecourse ground under the floodlights. You've got teams from all across the world filling that away end. It would be bouncing inside the racecourse ground, and it's something you wouldn't have even thought of happening 5 years ago. But I think this would be, the next step. This would possibly be one of the biggest things that's happened in the club's history since the takeover. Of course, I can say history, but I think Wrexham competing in the Conference League on the biggest stage across teams from all over Europe, I think would be a massive stepping stone, a milestone in this magical journey. Yeah, and like I said, in the field of exposure, I don't think it gets any bigger than this for Wrexham Football Club. You're playing on BT Sport, there'll be people from all across the world tuning in. Of course, you're playing against teams all across the world, and like I said, I don't think it gets any bigger than this. And imagine the welcome to Wrexham episodes we'd have. Wrexham competing in Europe, it would just be so special. So talking about the cons of competing in the Conference League, and I think there are a couple of cons and something we need to be wary of course, the main one being fixture congestion. Now, if Wrexham were to qualify for the Conference League phase while still being in League One, it would mean Wrexham Football Club would play a minimum of 62 games in one season, which is genuinely ridiculous. Some teams in our league might not even play 50. So I think we've obviously got to be very wary of this, and our priority should always be to try and get as far up as we can in the footballing pyramid, up to the Championship and up to our end goal, which is the Premier League. And if this is going to possibly halt any progression along the way and be a massive distraction, and like I said, 62 games is a lot of games for players in League One. It's okay for maybe a Premier League team, but like I said, if this is going to possibly halt progression up to League One and cause fatigue amongst the squad and mean extra injuries and fitness issues, then is it really going to be worth it? I think we can be selfish as fans as well and say we want this as much as anyone else. We want European nights back, home and away for Wrexham Football Club, but you've got to think from the players' point of view, the owners and Phil Parkins. And don't get me wrong, we've got Humphrey Carr and of course Sean Harvey going ahead with this proposal, so they obviously don't see the game fixture congestion as much of an issue as I do, but I think we have got to be wary of that. Of course, if we went up to the Championship, we wouldn't compete in the EFL Trophy, so that would be 3 less games on top of that. But you think as well, if Wrexham are to somehow get out of the league phase in the Conference League whilst being in the Championship, it would still be similar to 62 games. Yeah, and I think the next big point is, of course, it's a risk. There's no hiding the fact this is a risk for Wrexham Football Club. Going through the route, of course, like I said earlier on in the video, via the Welsh League Cup and qualifying for the Conference League rounds means Wrexham Football Club can't ever qualify for the Champions League or the Europa League via the English football system. So it's a scenario that I don't think is, very close. I think it's a long way off, of course, Wrexham finishing in the top 4 of the Premier League or winning the FA Cup, but in the scenario that it might happen in the next 6-7 years, which again I think is very doubtful, but even if it does, we've got to talk about if this somehow does happen for Wrexham Football Club. Is this a decision we could possibly regret if Wrexham, were to finish in the top 4 of the Premier League and then, we can't qualify because all those years ago we decided to go through the Welsh League Cup and then possibly not even get far in the Conference League? That's something we've got to be wary of, but like I said, it's very far away as things stand. So having said the cons there, I really, I can't put emphasis on it enough, want European nights at Wrexham Football Club. It would be a dream come true for me and many young fans across Wrexham Football Club, and across the older fans that support the club will be able to relive those memories. Anyone that travelled out to Roma, Porto, there'll be some of the fans watching this video that have seen us play in Europe and have been lucky enough to see some magical moments, and I'd love to experience that for myself. So of course, I've talking on this video, it hasn't actually got the green light, so I bet you're thinking, when are we going to know for definite? When will Wrexham Football Club know if we're qualifying in the Welsh League Cup to have that possibility of getting into the Conference League? We've had the green light from obviously all 4 Welsh sides competing from the EFL. The FAW are all for it, likewise with the majority of Welsh Premier League clubs. The only stepping stone Wrexham need to cross now is the approval from the English FA, which has been described as a mountain to climb. Yeah, it's obviously, we've got this far now, we've got all the, the green light from the clubs in the Welsh Premier League, the FA, all 4 clubs competing. It's just the English FA now that we need to be, getting that approval from, and a few people have said that it could jeopardise our EFL status in the upcoming season. So if there's any truth in that, which I don't think there possibly is, even if it was, is there really any worth it, and why are we even considering going through this route? So I don't think there is any truth in that, but if there is, then of course this should be just neglected straight away. We should just completely forget about that. But it could be a few weeks before we hear back from the FA. Obviously it's projected to come in place at the start of the 25-26 season. The 4 EFL clubs will come in at the start then, so we're expecting to hear a decision, of course, state the obvious, before the end of the season. So yeah, keep your eyes out, because it could be a big stepping stone in Wrexham's gaining exposure and getting on the global stage. So yeah, that is it for today's video. It's a big topic, it's one I would love to see Wrexham compete in. Of course, you've got to be wary of the fixture congestion, etc. But if we're up in the Championship, further investment in the squad, a larger squad hopefully, and of course a squad with more fitness and more quality, and it shouldn't be an issue at all. But it'd be great to see European nights back at the racecourse, travelling across Europe, watching Wrexham of course in the Conference League. It would be so special. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section section down below. If you did enjoy, make sure to drop a like, subscribe as well if you are new, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in another video. Of course, I don't want to talk about that Shrewsbury performance too much because, yeah, that was a very, very tough watch, and if it's not a call to go out and get a striker, then I don't know what is. We need to bring in a striker that's either going to start from the start of the game and have an impact, or come off the bench and have an impact. It's good to see Mario back. I still think this was the sign for Wrexham Football Club to go out and splash the cash, maybe not just on a striker as well. So yeah, until then, take care guys, up the town.